History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's a very, very busy day. And it's also St. Patrick's Day. So in my Tuesday night class, I told my students in my online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I said that I was going to do a broadcast on St. Patrick's Day, dealing with the history of St. Patrick's Day and who Patrick was, and dealing with why do African Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day, because most African Americans don't know what they're celebrating. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do a separate broadcast or do it during the show, do it during our daily show. So I'm going to do it during our daily show. So I talk about this usually each year around St. Patrick's Day. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. A lot of this type of information you're not going to get a whole lot of other places. So it's another St. Patrick's Day, and people are wearing green. It's a little different this year because of COVID-19. And you have parties taking place, and I was in downtown Detroit today, and there were parties taking place, and celebrations, things like this. And you'll see African Americans celebrating St. Patrick's Day as well. But when you ask them, what is it that you're celebrating, or who was St. Patrick? The most they can tell you is that he was a priest or a bishop or a saint or something like that. Well, what did St. Patrick do? Why is this his feast day? I mean, besides him dying in about 461 AD on March 17th, why is this his feast day? And, they may say things like, well, he drove the snakes out of Ireland or something like that. Right? So we're going to talk some about this history. And we'll deal with St. Patrick's Day. Who was St. Patrick? Do you know what you're celebrating? And why do African Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day? And you may come across some African Americans who say, well, I have Irish in me. I have Irish ancestry. Well, you have African ancestry also. Do you celebrate African Liberation Day? And I did the post a couple of days ago on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and I did it again today. And I said, if you wear green on St. Patrick's Day, will you wear red, black, and green on African Liberation Day? If not, why not? Now, African Liberation Day is May 25th. We'll celebrate African Liberation Day here as well. May 25th celebrates commemorates the organization of the formation of the Organization of Afro-American Unity in 1963. But if you wear green on St. Patrick's Day, will you wear red, black, and green on African Liberation Day? Okay, and I posted this again on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, today. It got a lot of likes. It's over 500 likes today. We have the post right here. So let's look at some of this history. Now, first off, I know I may say some things that are outside the circumference of some people's awareness. Just because you never heard it before, disagree with it, or don't like it, does not mean it's not true. It just means you have to do some research to understand what I'm talking about. All right. So I encourage people also to read the books African People and European Holidays, A Mental Genocide by Dr. Shaka Musa Barashango, Book 1 and Book 2. Book 1 and Book 2, African People and European Holidays, A Mental Genocide by Dr. Shaka Musa Barashango. And in the book, he goes through in all these European holidays we've been taught to celebrate. He goes through and deals with the history of them so we understand what we're celebrating. And then he deals with different African festivals and African celebrations, etc. Okay, because most of these European holidays we've been taught to celebrate, we were taught during when we were children, and we really don't know the history behind them unless you went and actually studied the history. We really don't know what we're celebrating. We've just been taught to celebrate it. Then when we watch television, because of TV commercials, because of marketing and commercialism, we're taught to participate in a lot of these celebrations. All right. So if we look at the National Retail Federation, when I do my different presentations dealing with the different holidays and we look at how much each holiday is expected to generate in sales, I go to NRF.com, National Retail Federation. When you hear them give this information in the news, they're getting it from the National Retail Federation. So 2021 St. Patrick's Day, about half of U.S. Adults plan to mark the occasion, celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And we'll turn on the screen share, flip this over. Let's bring this up. Okay. So the latest consumer spending data from the National Retail Federation and Prosper Insights and Analytics 2021 St. Patrick's Day survey found that 49% of U.S. adults said they plan to celebrate St. Patrick's Day this year, 2021. 49% of U.S. adults said they plan to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Now, similar to what they've seen over the past year, consumers may be adjusting celebrations with COVID-19 in mind. While this can traditionally be a holiday where you meet up with your friends or attend parades, significantly fewer are doing so this year. It's understandable because of COVID and people don't want to die trying to drink green beer and celebrate a saint and they don't know what the hell they're celebrating. So that's understandable. Now, over half, or 55%, say they'll be avoiding gatherings this year as a result of the pandemic. But the leprechauns are still in luck, as 32% of consumers plan to keep the spirit alive by planning a special dinner or celebration at home. Okay. Now, with plenty of decorations and festive treats needed to mark the occasion, 92% of those celebrating St. Patrick's Day plan to make St. Patrick's Day purchases. 92% plan to make St. Patrick's Day purchases. They plan to spend on average $40.77 for a total of $5.1 billion nationwide. So St. Patrick's Day for 2021 is expected to generate $5.1 billion in sales. Now, if we look at in, I think it was 2020, it was expected to do $6 billion, but that was before COVID-19 hit. Okay. And it was expected that more than 139 million Americans plan to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in 2020. And then they have some graphics here that you could look at as well. Okay. Spending plans for St. Patrick's Day, related $40.77 per average, 5.14 billion, etc. So you go check this out. This is still, I have a background in marketing, so I always go look at the information dealing with different holidays because I know the type of money they generate. This is why we're taught to participate in this stuff. Okay. Now, so let's look at some history here. So who was St. Patrick? That's the first question we have to ask. Well, who was St. Patrick? Because they keep saying St. Patty's Day and St. Patrick and three-leaf clovers and grain and all this stuff. So who was St. Patrick? So St. Patrick was a Christian missionary bishop and apostle of Ireland. Also, he became a patron saint to Ireland. And he was born about 385 AD in Roman Great Britain. Okay, somewhere in Great Britain. Some sources say in what today is Scotland. He was born about 385 AD. At this time, Great Britain is a colony of the Roman Empire. Okay, the British Empire doesn't exist at this point in time in history in 4th century AD. Great Britain is part of the Roman Empire. And he's going to die March 17th, 461 AD. So March 17th is known as his feast day, which is why people celebrate St. Patrick's Day on March 17th as opposed to March 16th or 15th or 14th. Because in 461 AD, that's where he died in Saul Downpatrick, Ireland. All right. Now, much of what is known about Patrick's legendary life comes from what's known as the Confessio, which is a book that he wrote during his last years alive. Okay, the Confessio. Now, he was born in Roman Great Britain. He was kidnapped and brought to Ireland as a slave at the age of 16. Okay, he wasn't, contrary to popular belief, he wasn't born in Ireland. Okay, he wasn't Irish, so to speak. Okay, he's born in Roman Great Britain. So when people think that he was Irish and all this, no, he wasn't. Okay, it's just a whole bunch of nonsense that we're talking. All right, it's just a whole bunch of nonsense. So he's born in Roman Great Britain. He's kidnapped and brought to Ireland as a slave at the age of 16. He later escaped, but returned to Ireland and was credited with bringing Christianity. Well, it's part of the myth is that he's credited. Some say he's credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland, but Christianity was already in Ireland. So it's more so he's credited with converting many Irish to Christianity. Christianity was already in Ireland. He did not introduce Christianity to Ireland. Now, St. Patrick, who lived during the 5th, he's born in 4th century AD, and he dies in 5th century AD, is the patron saint and national apostle of Ireland. Okay. And when he was enslaved by Irish marauders, he's kidnapped at the age 16. He's enslaved for more than 6 years. He worked as a herder in Ireland, turning to a deepening religious faith for comfort. Following the counsel of a voice he heard in a dream one night, he escaped and found passage on a ship going back to Britain, where he was eventually reunited with his family. Okay, we're going to continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Kemeticwear.com is the go-to online source for Kemetic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Kemeticwear.com is inspired by KemeticScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at Kemeticwear.com.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, St. Patrick's Day. You probably saw a lot of African Americans today celebrating St. Patrick's Day. They may have been wearing green, may have been getting drunk, what have you. And you ask them, what are you celebrating? St. Patrick's Day. Why? Who's St. Patrick? What did St. Patrick do? Oh, St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland. Really? There's no evidence of snakes ever being in Ireland. What are you talking about? I remember I remember a few years ago, it's back in about 2012. I was working at a call center. So I go to work and I didn't realize it was St. Patrick's Day. So I just show up at work and I see people wearing green. I see African Americans wearing green and they didn't know who I was. You know, they didn't really know who I was. So I started asking questions. Now I already know the answer to the question before I asked. I'm like, why are you wearing green? He said it's St. Patrick's Day. Really? Who was St. Patrick? Oh, he was a saint. Well, what did St. Patrick do? Oh, he drove the snakes out of Ireland. You ask people, most people can't tell you. Then this one sister who was half white, she said she has Irish ancestry. That's why she celebrates St. Patrick's Day. And? So what? And? So if you wear green for St. Patrick's Day, will you wear red, black, and green for African Liberation Day? All right, let's continue. Somebody posted during the break. They said that Patrick was a man whom the Holy Roman Catholic Church commissioned to drive the indigenous Irish whom wore the Tues. They wore Tues there, but you also had Druids. But the Catholic Church did not exist in 5th century AD, people. The Catholic Church does not come into existence until 11th century AD, mid 11th century AD, around 1052, 1056. It's the Eastern Orthodox Church that's in existence in 4th and 5th century AD, not the Catholic Church. The Council of Nicaea, 325 AD, the Council of Ephesus and the Council of Chalcedon, all that. That's not the Catholic Church. Catholic Church doesn't exist at this period of time. I know people like to think it does. No, it doesn't. All right, let's continue. That's a whole nother conversation. That's another presentation. So at the age of 16, okay, so Patrick is born to a wealthy family. His father was a Christian deacon. It has been suggested that he probably took on the role because of tax incentives, and there is no evidence that Patrick came from a particularly religious family. Patrick was born in Roman Great Britain, not Ireland, to wealthy parents near the end of the 4th century, about 385 AD. And he's believed to have died on March 17th, around 460 AD. Some sources say 461 AD, others say around 460 AD. Now, at age 17, Patrick was taken prisoner by a group of Irish raiders who were attacking his family's estate. They transported him to Ireland, where he spent 6 years in captivity. There is some dispute over where this captivity took place, although many believe he was taken to live in in a county in Antrim. Okay, and I want to pull up this. This piece here from history.com as well. Right now, it is more likely that he was held in County Mayo near Killala, Killala. Now, during this time, he worked as a shepherd, outdoors and away from people. Lonely and afraid, he turned to his religion for solace. Okay, and let me pull this up here. Lonely and afraid, he turned to his religion for solace, becoming a devout Christian. It is also believed that Patrick first began to dream of converting the Irish people to Christianity during his captivity. Okay, now once again, even though a lot of times with the mythology, because a lot of what we know about Patrick, part of it is mythology, other comes from the Confessio, okay? Some writings that he did toward the end of his life. But a lot of it is mythology that evolves over centuries and is then combined with, you know, things that he wrote also. Okay, now, let me scroll down. Okay, so many of the stories traditionally associated with St. Patrick, including the famous account of his banishing all the snakes from Ireland, are false and the products of hundreds of years of exaggerated storytelling. Okay, we're going to talk about that because it's a myth dealing with banishing the snakes out of Ireland because there's no evidence that snakes were ever in Ireland. Okay, we'll talk about that. That ties into the history of the Druids. Let me pull this up just a second here. Okay. All right, so many of the stories traditionally associated with St. Patrick, including the famous account of his banishing all the snakes from Ireland, are false. The products of hundreds of years of exaggerated storytelling, and that happens with historical figures or mythological figures who we taught are historical and haven't done the research, and we think they're historical, but they're really mythological, or they are a compilation of real people in mythology as well. That happens also. Now, during this period of time when he's captured, these 6 years in captivity in Ireland, he worked as a shepherd outdoors and away from people. Lonely and afraid, he turned to his religion for solace, becoming a devout Christian. Now, after more than 6 years as a prisoner, Patrick is going to escape. Now, according to his writing in the Confessio, a voice which he believed to be God's spoke to him in a dream. Okay, a voice that he believed to be God spoke to him in a dream, telling him it was time to leave Ireland. So to do so, Patrick walked nearly 200 miles from County Mayo, where it is believed he was held. He walked from there to the Irish coast after escaping to Britain, to Great Britain, which is under Roman control. Okay, it's not England. You don't have England at this time. England is named after the Anglos. The Anglos, the Saxons, and the Jutes, Jutes. They're going to go into Ireland, conquer Ireland, but they also go into England, and England is named after the Anglos. The Anglos and the Saxons are going to come to this land in Virginia, 1607 and after. This is why oftentimes you hear white, especially white men, referred to as white Anglo-Saxon male Protestants. The Anglos and the Saxons were two groups of Germanic people collectively known as barbarians. The Anglos, the Saxons, the Jutes, the Picts, the Alans, the Lombards, the Vandals, the Visigoths. These are all groups of Germanic people, or what we call collectively barbarians. Okay, so you study them The western portion of the Roman Empire is crushed by the Vandals and the Visigoths in 476 AD, which pushes Europe into what's known as the Dark Ages, and it's going to be the Moors and the African Moors in 8th century AD to take the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, into Europe and bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. And that's to our detriment. That's going to lead to the transatlantic slave trade taking place eventually. That's why I say I wish we never taught them. All that stuff came out to kick us in the behind. But let's continue. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. Also, if you have a quick question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a quick question or comment. Okay. All right. Now, we're dealing with some of the history of St. Patrick's Day. And what are people celebrating? Who was Patrick? Okay. Now, after escaping Britain, Patrick reported that he experienced a second revelation. An angel in a dream tells him to return to Ireland as a missionary. Soon after, Patrick began religious training, a course of study that lasted more than 15 years. Now, after his ordination, he was sent to Ireland with a dual mission to minister to Christians already living in Ireland, and to begin to convert the Irish. Okay, so this mission contradicts the widely held notion that Patrick introduced Christianity to Ireland. He helped spread it. He helped spread Christianity, but there were already Christians in Ireland. There were also the Tues in Ireland, because this is who the leprechaun are. The Tues, the short-statured people coming from southern Africa, they're referred to as the Khoisan or the Ainu or the Tues. They go all around the world, and they're in Ireland. And this is where the leprechauns come from. Leprechaun means small-bodied person. Okay, and this also then ties into the history of the Druids as well. Okay, now St. Patrick incorporated Irish culture into Christian lessons. We're going to get to the Druids in just a minute here. So familiar with Irish culture and language, Irish language and culture, Patrick chose to incorporate traditional ritual into his lessons on Christianity instead of attempting to eradicate native Irish beliefs. For instance, he used bonfires to help celebrate Easter, since the Irish were used to honoring their gods with fire. Okay, that's probably coming from the Druids, because the Druids did that. We're going to talk about the Druids in just a minute. He also superimposed a sun, S-U-N, a powerful Irish symbol, onto the Christian cross to create what is now called a Celtic cross, so that veneration of the symbol would seem more natural to Irish. So just as when the Romans are conquering, and he's doing this on behalf of the Roman Empire, because is Pope Celestine I in 432 AD that sends him into Ireland to convert the Irish to Christianity, who are not already Irish. Okay, they talk about the sun and the Celtic cross. Okay, so this book right here. So when I was doing, because I've done presentations dealing with the history of St. Patrick's Day going back some years, so I had to study Irish history and understand chronology of history to get a better understanding of St. Patrick's Day. So this is one of the books that I read, the Everything Irish History and Heritage book by Amy Hackney Blackwell and Ryan Hackney. Okay, and it shows the Celtic cross with the sun disk behind here as well. Okay, the Everything Irish History and Heritage book. Okay, we'll go to the phone lines in just a minute. And one of the things they talk about in here is Ireland being conquered by the England in 1155 AD. Okay, because Ireland was a colony of the Roman Empire. All right, in like 4th, 5th century AD. And then Ireland is going to be conquered in 1155 AD by the English as well, by England. Okay, or what we call the British. All right. Let's continue here. Now, although, let's go back to this article here. Now, although there were a small number of Christians on the island when Patrick arrived, most Irish practiced a nature-based pagan religion. Pagan. Okay, what does pagan mean? So this gets into a whole nother thing, because I deal with this in some of my presentations dealing with Ancient Kemet, the Moors. Ancient Kemet, the winter solstice, and the history of Christmas. I get deep into this in that presentation. But let's look at something here for the sake of time. Let's look at, I deal with this in my online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So let's look at the Druids, because all this ties into the history of the Druids, which then takes us back to Ancient Kemet, Ancient Egypt. Let's see, where is, okay, it's in the other, let me pull this up just a second here. Let's go to the phone lines while I pull this up. We have G on line 1. G, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
Yeah, D from Windsor.
D,
Ontario.
D, oh, it's D, D, okay, D. So they have G here. Sorry about that. G-E-E. Okay. Thanks. Go ahead. Thanks for holding. Tell us we're calling from Windsor, Canada. Okay, across the river, our neighbors. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Years ago, as a younger man, I had the opportunity to backpack from Dakar to Lagos, significant portion of the African coast.
Lagos, Nigeria. Lagos, Nigeria?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, from Dakar all the way down to Lagos.
Dakar, Senegal to Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, go ahead. West Africa.
Right. Along the Senegalese portion of the trip, I found myself in a holy city known as Touba, where they had a mosque in the desert. My French is okay, but from what I could understand of the locals, they were saying that the Moors came from that area that went later to Europe. My question to you is this true? And if not, where in the West Africa did the Moors that liberated the Europeans from the Black Death?
Okay.
Where did they come from specifically along that West African coast?
Okay, you said. Well, hold on. Let's deal with the first question first. Where in West Africa? Because see, they're gonna be waves of Moors that go into Europe. Some of them are gonna come from West Africa, Senegal, Mali, different things like that. Okay, you're gonna have some coming from North Africa. You're gonna have some coming from West Africa. Okay, and they're gonna be waves of Moors. They're gonna be waves of Moors that go into Europe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so a good reference for that. Two good books to read dealing with this is Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Golden Age of the Moor. It's out of print. You may be able to get it at an African American bookstore or something like that. But one book that is in print is by Runoko Rashidi, Black Star: The African Presence Over Early Europe. Black Star: The African Presence Over Early Europe by Runoko Rashidi. And you can visit, if you check out his website, drrunoko.com, RUNOKO, drrunoko.com. He has information there on how to order his books. But Runoko, I know Runoko. I've interviewed him. I've read his book, and his book is phenomenal. But go ahead.
Okay. And the last question is, after the Spaniards won their victory over the Moors, I guess, or
1492, January 2nd, 1492, when the Moors lose control of Granada, their last stronghold.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they go?
Well, interesting you asked that question. Some of the Moors are going to be conquered, and they're going to be taken into Spanish territories, Spanish colonies. So I have to look at this again.
What did you say? Some of them went where? What? I didn't hear you.
Some are going to stay in Spain, but some are going to be conquered and taken into Spanish colonies also. Some are going to be conquered. So, but keep in mind, you're going to have Moors that are going to be conquered. They're going to lose control in England. They're going to lose control in Sicily, Crete, things like that as well. But yeah, it's an interesting history, because when you study, let me see something here. It's 1517, about 1517, the Asiento de Negros. Okay, you familiar with the Asiento and King Charles I, also known as King Charles V?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so the Asiento is right about 1517. If you go to Britannica.com and search for Asiento de Negros, it was a license given by the Spanish to European nations to trade African slaves in Spanish colonies. It's called the Asiento. And what happens is that so when Columbus goes on his 4 voyages, he set sail August 3rd, 1492 on the Nina de Pinta and Santa Maria. It's later in the same year that when the Spanish take back control of the last stronghold from the Moors, the what's known as the Reconquista is completed. The Reconquista is the reconquest, which starts in reconquering, taking back that territory from the Moors. So the Reconquista is complete, and then Columbus set sail August 3rd, 1492. So Columbus, it took him about 7 years to convince King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella to finance his voyage. All right. But on his voyages, he's going to have Right Reverend Bishop Bartholomew de las Casas, okay, who's a bishop. And de las Casas keeps a diary of the atrocities that take place in the areas where they go, Haiti, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Honduras, things like this, okay, where they travel. And he writes 2 books about this. So in about 1517, Bartholomew de las Casas goes to the King of Spain, King Charles I, also known as King Charles V. And he basically tells him that the indigenous people, what we call Native Americans, things like this, they suffered enough, and that the Spanish should stop enslaving them and basically exclusively enslave African people. This is because of Bartholomew de las Casas and what he sees on the voyages with Columbus. So then this leads to the Asiento de Negros. So between the early 16th and mid 18th century, an agreement between the Spanish crown and a private person or another sovereign power by which the latter was granted a monopoly in supplying African slaves for the Spanish colonies in the Americas. The contractor, known as the Asentista, Asentista, and I'll flip this. I'll turn this on the screen share. See, it's important people understand the Portuguese are the first ones involved in the transatlantic slave trade. The Spanish are the second ones. And it's ironic that it was not by accident. Spain and Portugal are where the Moors are going in 711 AD, the Iberian Peninsula. It's not called Spain and Portugal in 8th century AD. That's where they first go in. And these are the first ones involved in the transatlantic slave trade. And they're basically enslaving the Moors. These are the same people that the Europeans are enslaving. And they're going into the Portuguese going in 1441 to Mauritania. And, they're going into West Africa. This is where the Moors are coming from. So very quickly here, and then I got to continue, and I'll let you get your other question in. Okay, so the contractor, the Asentista, agreed to pay a certain amount to the crown for the monopoly and to deliver a stipulated number of male and female slaves for sale in the American markets. The first contractor was a Genoese company that in 1517 agreed to supply 1,000 slaves over an 8-year period. In 1528, an agreement was reached with a German firm to supply 4,000 slaves. For its monopoly, the firm paid 20,000 ducats annually to the Spanish crown. Each slave was sold at a price not exceeding 45 ducats. Okay. So until the 18th century, individual Spaniards, as well as subjects of Portugal, France, and Great Britain, entered into such contracts. In spite of heavy taxation, government interference, and unsettled trade conditions, all of which greatly curtailed the profitability of asientos, foreigners nevertheless sought them because they provided the chance to share in the lucrative Spanish-American trade, and especially to acquire some of the gold and silver bullion produced by the slave trade. Okay, people can read the rest of this. We'll post the article here. But this deals with the Asiento de Negros. Okay, go ahead with your second question. Then I got to get back to this information.
Is it just a myth or myth? Was Christopher Columbus actually an Orthodox Jew, or is that falsehood?
Was Christopher Columbus actually an Orthodox Jew,
or a practicing Jew?
I've heard different things. I'm not exactly sure on that. I've heard some different things about that. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. Columbus is a very, very tricky, deceitful character. So I'm not exactly sure on that.
Yeah. Let's share that again.
Yeah.
Okay, you've given me a lot of information. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, man. Take care.
Sure.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Okay. He's over in Windsor. All right. Okay. There's also an article from history.com. Let me see if we can pull this up quickly here. These are some of the things I cover in the online course also that I teach, because we try to deal with these things chronologically. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So when we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, we deal with the Asientos. Because Bishop Bartolome de las Casas is a very, very important figure in history dealing with the transatlantic slave trade. Christopher Columbus and Bishop Bartolome de las Casas. I read two books that de las Casas wrote back in college. Let's see here if we can find this one. Okay. Coming up. But you can research the Asientos de Negros. All right, I want to get back to this information here dealing with St. Patrick's Day, but this is all connected, okay? Now, let's look at let's go back to this quickly, then we're going to get into the Druids. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're here for a few more minutes on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. We're going to keep broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. We'll keep broadcasting there. Okay, let's look at this, going back to St. Patrick's Day. Now, although there were a small number of Christians on the island when Patrick arrived, because Ireland is an island and it's a cold climate. It's a climate not conducive to snakes. Most Irish practice a nature-based religion. The Irish culture centered around a rich tradition of oral legend and myth. When this is considered, it is no surprise that the story of Patrick's life became exaggerated over the centuries. Spinning exciting tales to remember history has always been a part of the Irish way of life. Okay. Now there's a whole nother presentation I'll do later sometime in the next few days or so dealing with how the Irish became white, because the Irish, when they first come to the U.S., they're at the bottom of the totem pole and they're not considered white. Okay. It's not to after World War II that the Irish are considered white, something like that. Okay. Okay. St. Patrick was never canonized as a saint. He may be known as a patron saint of Ireland, but Patrick was never actually canonized by the Catholic Church. Okay. Now the Catholic Church does not exist. It does not come into existence until mid-11th century AD. This is simply due to the era he lived in. During the first millennium, there was no formal canonization process in the Catholic Church. Well, the Catholic Church didn't exist not until mid-11th century AD, the Catholic Church does not exist. After becoming a priest and helping to spread Christianity throughout Ireland, Patrick was likely proclaimed a saint by popular acclaim. All right. Okay. Read this article here. It's a really good article from history.com, the official website of the History Channel. Who was St. Patrick? Who was St. Patrick? He wasn't Irish. He found his faith while being held as prisoner by a group of Irish raiders. Okay. Now they talk about pagans and nature-based religion. Okay. Let me see here. Where is that? Okay. Although there was a small number of Christians on the island when Patrick arrived, most Irish practice a nature-based pagan religion. Okay. So this then ties into the Druids. All right. Now, if we look at this here, and we're going to go to Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by my friend Tony Browder, pages 193 and 194. This ties into the history of St. Patrick, and this ties into the history of the Druids as well. Okay. Also, if you, before we run out of time here, if you want to register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. The class meets Tuesdays online, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the class live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach. This time around is going to be 9 weeks because I had Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. He spoke to my class. And then also Sister Nubia Wardford, who's a cultural anthropologist. She spoke to my class as well. So as soon as you register, you can watch those sessions. It's regularly $130, on sale $80. You can watch them around the world, and you can watch it over and over again. Even after the class is over, you can still watch it. Okay, so pages 193 and 194, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization, talks about the Druids in Ancient Kemet. This deals with the suppression of the knowledge and the fight between Christianity and the teachings coming out of Ancient Kemet, Ancient Egypt. Now, the word Druid in Old Irish means he who knows, he who knows. And the Druids were practicing something called the gnosis. The gnosis was called true knowledge, okay? And they're dealing with a watered down version of teachings coming out of Ancient Kemet, Ancient Egypt, all right? A watered down version of the teachings coming out of Ancient Kemet, Ancient Egypt. Now, this word down here at the bottom of the slide, frigatriskaidekaphobia. Frigatriskaidekaphobia deals with the fear of Friday the 13th, the fear of Friday the 13th. And Freya, or Frigga, was the wife of Odin in Scandinavian mythology. Odin is the father of Thor and Loki. Okay, so Friday is named after Freya or Freya or Frigga, depending upon which European language you're dealing with. Friday's named after her. Thursday was called Thor's Day, named after Thor. Wednesday was called Woden's Day, named after Odin. So when you deal with the origins of the days of the week, some of it takes you to Scandinavian mythology. And frigatriskaidekaphobia deals with the fear of Friday the 13th. Part of that fear ties into 1307 AD, Friday the 13th, 1307 AD, when the Knights Templar in France were rounded up. And the Knights Templar, who are formed during the Second Crusades, 1118 AD, during the Second Crusades, is a whole nother story. But the Knights Templar are dealing with a watered down version of the teachings that the Moors are taking into Europe. The Knights Templar are going to be rounded up, eventually disbanded. But October 13th, which is a Friday, 1307, was said to be the day that the knowledge stopped. And this is one of the reasons why people fear one of the reasons why people fear Friday the 13th. It's not the only reason why, but it's one of the reasons going into that mythology why people fear Friday the 13th. There's an article from history.com that deals with the Knights Templar, and then there's also one that deals with Friday the 13th. Okay, so check that out for more background information. Knights Templar history, and they talk about 1307 AD. Okay, history of the Knights Templar. Yeah, this one right here. This is a good article. So check this one out also. Okay. All right. Let me pull this one up here and show you this one here. They have some really good articles at history.com. I read a lot. I have a ton of their articles that I've read and printed up. History of the Knights Templar. Get the facts on the mysterious medieval order known as the Knights Templar, which was dissolved several hundred years ago, but has recently made new headlines. And all this stuff ties into history. All this history is connected. Around 1118 AD, the Knights Templar formed during the Second Crusades, and then it's 1307 that they're going to be. About 1307, they're going to be disbanded. October 13th, 1307, scores of the French Knights Templar were arrested along with the order's Grand Master Jacques de Molay. So read this article. This gives you background information. And this ties into also the history of the Moors, because the Knights Templar are getting their teachings from the Moors, which then come from the Nile Valley region of Africa, ancient Kemet, the Nile Valley region, etc. All right, we're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Keep watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and Michael Imhotep. Remember, right now, correct wrong behavior is not over till we win. Stay tuned for Democracy Now! We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Now, also, if you'd like to stop your information, you can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, or through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. That helps us keep broadcasting 6 days a week, keep doing the research, stay on the air, etc. All right, let's continue. Let's wrap this up because I got to get out of here.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business, encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. Blackbusinesstee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social study, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses before retirement fails. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Let's go back to the slide here and deal with the Druids. The Druids tie into ancient Kemet, and they tie into Patrick as well. Okay, so here's a picture of a Druid as well, and they wore helmets that had a Uraeus on it, the cobra. Okay, and this is from one of the slides in the online class that I teach also, because we have to deal with all this history tying into the Moors and the transatlantic slave trade in ancient Egypt. Okay, so if we look at page 193 and 194 of Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Tony Browder. Okay, this book here. So a lot of people have this book at home. All right, pull it off your shelf. Turn to page 193 and 194. Okay, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Tony Browder. So Browder talks about the on page 193, the section is called The Development of European Secret Societies. The Development of European Secret Societies, okay? Let me pull this up here. The development of European secret societies. Okay, so he talks about Hermes Trismegistus, who this is what the Europeans call Dahuti. Dahuti, or Thoth, is a Neteru that is a deity that governs over divine articulation of speech and writing and wisdom, things like this, okay? But Dahuti was known to Europeans as Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes thrice great philosopher, priest, and king. He was regarded as the god of wisdom, science, medicine, magic, measurement, mathematics, and he is said to have authored innumerable books on these and other subjects. Now, Freemasons or Masons regard him as the author of all Masonic initiatory rituals. And when you read Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder, he gets into Freemasonry as well. And when you read Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder, he gets into Freemasonry also, because Freemasonry, the foundation of that are the teachings that the Moors take into Europe. And that comes from the Nile Valley region of Africa also. Now, Hermes is said to have been the author of 42 books which contain the wisdom of ancient Egypt, the wisdom of ancient Egypt. According to Manly P. Hall, quote, the Romans and later the Christians realized that until these books were eliminated, they could never bring the Egyptians into subjugation. Until these books were eliminated, they can never bring the Egyptians into subjugation, end quote. Now, books on the Hermetic sciences were said to contain information regarding the Egyptians or the ancient Kemites' understanding of immortality, which was based on the knowledge that the body is the tomb of the soul. The body is the tomb of the soul. During the Greco-Roman occupation of Egypt, the soldiers, the Greek and Roman soldiers, formed a secret body for specialized scholarship and training in the Hermetic sciences. They became known as Druids. And later moved from Egypt into Greece and Rome before establishing a school in Ireland. Okay, so yeah, you're going to have the Tues in Ireland, but you're also going to have these Europeans, these Greco-Roman soldiers, these Europeans who are learning these teachings from ancient Kemet. Now, they learn less than 10% of what the ancients knew. They learned 10% of what the ancient Africans knew. This is why the highest degree in Freemasonry is 33 degrees, because 10% of 360 is 36. They learn less than 10%. They learn 33 degrees. Okay. I'll show you some information on it in just a second here, but I'm trying to keep this short. All right. Now, so the development of European secret societies, page 193 of Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Tony Browder. Now, one of the most enduring aspects of the Nile Valley civilization was the proliferation of its scientific and philosophical thought, which became known outside of ancient Kemet as the mystery schools or the Hermetic sciences. From the earliest of times, the masses of Europeans. Now, what I say may go outside the circumference of some people's awareness. Just because you disagree with it or don't like it or never heard it before does not mean it's not true. It just means you have to do some research to understand what I'm talking about. From the earliest of times, the masses of Europeans were poor and ignorant, while only the most fortunate men, noblemen, lords, scribes, and various religious leaders were provided with an education. Of this group, an even smaller number knew how to adequately read or write. Of this group, even a smaller number knew how to adequately read or write. So when the Moors go in 711 AD, they go in 710 for a reconnaissance mission to learn the lay of the land and see what they're up against. And then they go in 711 AD. 85 to 90% of Europeans are illiterate. You have kings and queens who are illiterate, can't read or write. The dogma of Christianity was readily available for the masses of people, while the educated elite studied the ancient teachings, which were called the gnosis or the true knowledge. And the gnosis or the true knowledge is what the Druids were studying. And Druid in Old Irish means he who knows. So if the Druids, this may go outside the circumference of some people's awareness, if the Druids are studying the true knowledge, but they're not studying Christianity, and Christianity is being made readily available for the poor, ignorant masses, but the ruling elite are not studying Christianity, they're studying the ancient teachings coming out of ancient Kemet, then we have to ask ourselves the question, what's really going on? Of this group and even small, so let me back up. From the earliest of times, the masses of Europeans were poor and ignorant, while only the most fortunate men, noblemen, lords, scribes, and various religious leaders were provided with an education. Because the monks were like the most educated people. They were also the cleanest, because after when the Moors go in, Europeans are not taking baths. So the monks, they were the cleanest. They took baths like once a year. They were the cleanest. This is one of the reasons why disease was running rampant throughout Europe. So of this group, an even smaller number knew how to adequately read or write. The dogma of Christianity was readily available for the masses of people, while the educated elite studied the ancient teachings, which were also called gnosis or true knowledge. The newly emerging schools of Hermetic, Neoplatonic, and Gnostic thought in Europe were loosely based on the Nile Valley principles of education, which were designed to awaken within an individual knowledge of self. Knowledge of self. This knowledge of self led to an awareness of the powers of God, of the Creator, of the supreme force that existed within man and woman. So by elevating your conscious level, by acquiring knowledge, this elevates your conscious level, brings you closer to the creative force and awakens within you the powers of God that are within you. Because as one of my teachers, Professor James Small, says, we are God having a human experience. So if you read, not to make this too long, I'm really trying to keep this simple, but if you read Christianity Before Christ by Dr. John G. Jackson, when he gets deep into all this and deals with the other crucified saviors, Heru and Bacchus and Apollo and different things like this. Christianity Before Christ by Dr. John G. Jackson. You could read The World's 16 Crucified Saviors by Kersey Graves also. I have that book around here somewhere. But when you deal with Genesis, this may go outside the compass of some people's awareness. When you deal with the Genesis, the first book of the Bible, the Helios Biblos, the Sun book, Helios, Helios. Helios means sun, not S-O-N, but S-U-N. That's another conversation. Adam and Eve were told not to eat of the tree of knowledge. In the Garden of Eden, they were told not to eat of the tree of knowledge because they would become likened unto a god. That's the whole purpose of acquiring knowledge from an African cosmological perspective, from African culture, from African cosmology. You acquire knowledge to elevate your conscious level, to awaken the power of the Creator that's inside you, to bring you closer to the Creator. But in Genesis, it says that Adam and Eve were told not to eat of the tree of knowledge, not the tree of stupidity, not the tree of ignorance, but the tree of knowledge. They were told not to eat of the tree of knowledge because they would become likened unto a god. That's the whole purpose. So the teaching from the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church in 4th century, 5th century AD conflicted with what the Druids were teaching in Ireland. Let's follow this. So this knowledge of self, page 193 in Nile Valley Contributions of Civilization by Tony Browder, page 193. This knowledge of self led to an awareness of the powers of God which exist within man and woman, as expressed in the myths of Asar, Set, and Heru, the first Holy Trinity. Let's bring up Asar, Set, and Heru. I have it here in this presentation. This is from the class. Right here. Whoop, there it is. This philosophy, this knowledge of self led to an awareness of the powers of God which exist within man and woman, as expressed in the myths of Asar, Set, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. This philosophy was in direct conflict with Christianity, which taught that man was conceived in sin and that salvation could only be gained through Jesus the Christ, even though the letter J was not invented to 1630 AD, so his name was Yeshua, because there was no letter J at the time. His mama didn't call him Jesus. Let's put it like that. Letter J didn't exist. The letter J is derived from the letter I. Letter J comes into existence in 1630 AD. This is why in the Quran, Jesus is referred to as Isa, the prophet Isa, because with an I, letter J doesn't exist. So this philosophy was in direct conflict with Christianity, which taught that man was conceived in sin, that salvation could only be gained through Jesus the Christ, the Pope, or other accepted intermediaries. One example of the clash between these opposing ideologies can be found by studying the symbolism incorporated into the story of St. Patrick and the Druids of Ireland. Now, what I'm about to tell you, did those that celebrate St. Patrick's Day, did you learn this today? The people you went to the parties with and they're wearing green and shamrocks and all this stuff, did they tell you what I'm about to drop on you? Let me see, where the hell is it? Druids. Let's go back to this one here with the Druids. Just a second, let me pull this one back up. Right here. Okay. So, one of the examples of the clash between these opposing ideologies can be found by studying the symbolism incorporated into the story of St. Patrick and the Druids of Ireland. The Druids were also known to dress. Druid in Old Irish means he who knows. Julius Caesar, one of our earliest sources on the subject of the Druids, considered the Druids highly educated and well organized. The Druids believed that the souls do not perish, but after death pass into other bodies, and they consider that by this belief, more than anything else, men may be led to cast away the fear of death and to become courageous. Now, the Druids, Browder goes on to say that the Druids were also known to dress in a style similar to the priestly kings of ancient Kemet. Their heads were often adorned with a uraeus, or a cobra, a snake, which was the symbol of the cobra that was worn on the crown of the pharaoh or the Nasubiti in ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Because of this symbolic imagery, the Druids were often referred to by outsiders as the snake people. As the snake people. Their presence and ideology were viewed as a direct threat to the development of Christianity in Ireland. So in 432 AD, Pope Celestine I sent a former British slave named Patrick into the region of Ireland to convert the population to Christianity, who were now already Christians, because there were some Christians already there. In the name of Christianity, page 194, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Tony Browder. In the name of Christianity, Patrick's army killed thousands of Irishmen, and he is said to have founded more than 300 churches and baptized more than 120,000 people. Okay? He's said to have founded more than 300 churches and baptized more than 120,000 people, and his army killed thousands of people. Now, there is a lot of legend and mythology around Patrick. So maybe some of these numbers are exaggerated. Maybe he only killed 1,000 people, not thousands. Patrick also introduced the Roman alphabet and Latin literature into Ireland. He was rewarded by the Vatican with sainthood, and today millions of people throughout the world celebrate St. Patrick's Day on his feast day, March 17th, because he dies in, it's believed, 461 AD in Downpatrick, Ireland. Okay, so that's his feast day, March 17th. To the average person who dresses in green, wears shamrocks, and marches in parades, this day commemorates the myth of a man who drove the snakes out of Ireland. What most people fail to realize is that the snakes St. Patrick drove into the sea were not the snakes that crawled on the ground, but the snake people who walked on 2 feet and were once known as Druids. But the Druids are dealing with a watered-down version of teachings coming out of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. So 1, you're celebrating a mass murderer. 2, you're celebrating somebody who converted the Irish to Christianity when they were practicing traditions and teachings coming out of ancient Kemet, even though they were watered down. Do you know what you were celebrating? Then when we look at more myths about Patrick, Patrick's color wasn't even green, it was blue. That's a whole nother presentation. I have to do a separate presentation on this. We're short on time here. But this is tied into how we just perpetuate nonsense and participate in things we had no clue what we're participating in. And when we were children, we were taught in school to wear green on St. Patrick's Day, you know, or you get pinched and all that stuff. We don't know where that came from. If you ask the teacher, why do we wear green on St. Patrick's Day? Most of them can't tell you. Okay, they're just operating based upon the programming themselves. You ask them, what did Patrick do that we're celebrating? He drove the snakes out of Ireland. There's no evidence of snakes ever being in Ireland. More nonsense, okay? Read African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide, book 1 and 2 by Dr. Ishaka Musa Barashango. Register for the online. You can register for the online course if you like that I teach ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Next class is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as soon as you register, you can watch the class from this past Tuesday. And you can watch the one that I did with Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. Hold on here. We'll post this link here. It's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there, and I'll post a link here also. We're going to continue for a few more minutes here. But all this history is connected. You have to understand a chronology of history. All this is why these European holidays, I don't celebrate any of them. Now, Mother's Day and Father's Day, yeah, I celebrate them. I know the history behind them, but I get a card from my mom or something like that. I celebrate that. But I don't go overboard for that. But all these other holidays, I don't participate in. Kwanzaa, yeah, African Liberation Day. Yeah, we'll talk about African Liberation Day, another show. That's May 25th. But let me finish this up here with St. Patrick's Day. Okay, there was, I want to make sure I just get through everything that I want to get through. All right, now, very quickly, let's look at some myths here. Okay, that's enough on that. Myths about St. Patrick's Day. There's a good article here that you can check out as well from history.com. St. Patrick's Day myths debunked. St. Patrick's Day myths debunked. This is St. Patrick's Day legends and myths debunked. Okay, this will work. They have another one, 7 surprising facts about St. Patrick's Day. Who wrote this one? Let me, there's another one I want to pull up here. Just one second. Let me pull up this other article here that I printed. This is 7 surprising facts about St. Patrick's Day. Let's look at this quickly here. All right. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. So when you see, somebody, it's African American or family members or something like that, celebrating St. Patrick's Day, you don't have to beat them up. And I'm not telling people they shouldn't celebrate it. What I'm saying is that you should know what you're celebrating. You should know you should at least know the history of what it is you're participating in. Okay, because that will determine whether or not you want to continue to celebrate it or how you celebrate it. You should at least know the history of what it is you're participating in. 7 surprising facts about St. Patrick's Day. It's from history.com as well. The real St. Patrick was born in Britain. Okay, we talked about that. There were no snakes around for St. Patrick to banish from Ireland. Okay, there's no evidence of snakes being in Ireland. Among the legends associated with St. Patrick is that he stood atop an Irish hillside and banished snakes from Ireland, prompting all serpents to slither away into the sea. In fact, research suggests snakes never occupied the Emerald Isle in the first place. There are no signs of snakes in the country's fossil record. Nobody ever thought to look there, right? The fossil record. There's ways to research this stuff. There are no signs of snakes. And water has surrounded Ireland since the last glacial period. Before that, the region was covered in ice and would have been too cold for reptiles. Just nonsense. Leprechauns are likely based on Celtic fairies. Now, Sister Nubia Warford talks about how the leprechauns, these were actually the Twa. Okay, and leprechaun means small-bodied person. And the leprechaun said to be magical, things like this. And the Twa was said to be magical as well, have magical powers, etc. The red-haired, green-clothed leprechaun is commonly associated with St. Patrick's Day. The old Irish name for these figures of folklore is Loberson, meaning small-bodied fellow. It also means small-bodied person. Belief in leprechauns likely stems from Celtic belief in fairies, tiny men and women who could use their magical powers to serve good or evil. In Celtic folk tales, leprechauns were cranky souls responsible for mending the shoes of other fairies. Okay, the shamrock was considered a sacred plant. The shamrock, a 3-leaf clover, has been associated with Ireland for centuries. Let's see. Okay. All right, that's it. Read the rest of this. That's all I want to get to on this one here. 7 surprising facts about St. Patrick's Day. There was another one here. Let's squeeze this in. Let's see here. Under St. Patrick's Day myths. Okay, this one right here. This is another good one. St. Patrick's Day myths debunked. And this is one I showed you first. St. Patrick was British. Okay. He was born in Roman Great Britain. Let's put it like that. Okay, so this is the myth. St. Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland. Now, 431 AD. So some sources say 431 AD. Some sources say 432 AD. That Pope Celestine I sent Patrick into Ireland. Before Patrick began, in 431, before Patrick began preaching in Ireland, Pope Celestine reportedly sent a bishop known as Palladius. Oh, I'm sorry. Pope Celestine first sends Palladius in 431 AD into Ireland. Patrick goes into 432 AD. Pope Celestine I reportedly sent a bishop known as Palladius, quote, to the Irish believing in Christ, an indication that some residents of the Emerald Isle had already converted by then. One theory holds that the St. Patrick of lore is actually an amalgam of two men, or an amalgamation or combination of two men, Palladius and the deacon's son, who first visited Ireland as an enslaved man. Okay, so we talked about this. Scholars believe the snakes banished from the Emerald Isles. Scholars believe this story is an allegory for St. Patrick's eradication of pagan ideology. That's an attack on the Druids. That's what that is. An attack on the Druids. Green has historically been associated with St. Patrick's Day, but St. Patrick's color was blue. Okay? The Irish countryside may be many shades of green, but knights in the order of St. Patrick were a color known as St. Patrick's blue. Why did green become so emblematic of St. Patrick that people began drinking green beer, wearing green, and of course dyeing the Chicago River green to mark the holiday he inspired? The association probably dates back to the 18th century, when supporters of Irish independence used the color to represent their cause. St. Patrick's, there's famous like depiction St. Patrick wearing his vest of blue. His color was blue, it wasn't green. Just more nonsense. Okay, so read this article also. St. Patrick's Day Legends and Myths Debunked. This is from history.com. All right. That's going to do it for us here. Hey, if you like this type of information, also you want to support the African History Network, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We're here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the African History Network show. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live. We do rebroadcast throughout the day. And we'll be back tomorrow with our regularly scheduled program, dealing with what's going on and current events and things like that. I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday. I'm a panelist on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So follow Roland on Facebook and YouTube and Roland Martin. I'll be on Friday, so we'll talk about what happened on this show here on this show on Friday as well. Okay. All at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there as well in digital downloads. We still have the 15 DVD bundle pack, the Michael Imhotep 15 DVD Black History Month bundle pack, includes 15 of my lectures. So that's right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And it includes Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice, and the History of Christmas. That's included in there as well. Okay, Patron Saint. I forgot. I told you I'll talk about Patron Saint. Forgot to talk about Patron Saint. Let's deal with that. That's the last thing we're going to deal with, and I really have to get out of here. Patron Saint. What is a patron saint? St. Patrick is the patron saint to Ireland. St. Nicholas is the patron saint to prostitutes and money lenders and pawnbrokers. I'm not being funny. He is. I mean, you study the history. So let's look at this quickly here. This comes from my presentation dealing with the history of Christmas. Let's flip over to this slide here. Here we go. These are some original depictions of Saint Nicholas, who was African, by the way. Megyn Kelly's gonna have a fit, who used to be on Fox News. It said Santa Claus was white. Okay, so let's look at this here. Saint Nicholas, another early depictions of Saint Nicholas. Okay, the older the depictions of Saint Nicholas, the more African he is. What is a patron saint? You hear this oftentimes dealing with Catholicism, or especially Catholicism. If we look at Britannica Concise Encyclopedia, patron saint, saints whose protection and intercession a person, society, church, place, profession, or activity is dedicated. This is a patron saint. The choice is usually made on the basis of some real or presumed relationship. St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland because he is credited with introducing Christianity there, some people say, or converting many of them to Christianity, because there's evidence that Christianity was already there in Ireland. Some famous patron saints: Saint Maurice, who was a Moor. He was Christian, the patron saint of Germany. St. Patrick, Ireland. St. Nicholas, who Santa Claus is named after, St. Nicholas. And then when you deal with so yesterday's class, we talked about Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, Zwarte Piet in the Netherlands and Holland, and the celebration of Zwarte Piet that the Netherlanders have usually every December. Zwarte Piet and Sinterklaas, Saint Nicholas. Okay, Sinterklaas is Dutch for Saint Nicholas, and the Dutch are going to bring this religious figure of Sinterklaas to the U.S. in the 18th century, and that religious figure, Sinterklaas, gets transformed into the secular figure of Santa Claus. Largely, the depiction of Santa Claus that we know of largely comes from Thomas Nast. The first introduction is from Clement Clark Moore in the early 1800s. Twice a Night Before Christmas, the poem. Okay, a visit from Saint Nicholas, and then you have the depiction by the cartoonist Thomas Nast. Okay, Thomas Nast as well, and this is the depiction of Saint Nicholas being the jolly fellow in the red suit, things like that, the beard, etc. But it's going to come from Sinterklaas, and let's see. Let me show you something. We'll show you one here. The article from National Geographic that we looked at yesterday. Dealing with Black Pete, Zwarte Piet. All this history is connected. And then this ties into the history of the Moors in Europe and the subjugation of the Moors, and the Moors being conquered, many of them being enslaved, being made fun of. So when you look at Princess Michael of Kent, back in late 2017, when she was going to a luncheon to meet with Meghan Markle, she wore a brooch that was called Blackamoor jewelry. And then people said, "Oh, it's blackface, it's blackface." No, it's Blackamoor jewelry. That ties it to the history of the Moors in Europe. Blackamoor jewelry, look that up. Okay, so this article here, the notorious Christmas character is dividing a country. This deals with Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, and here we have right here. So they show Sinterklaas and Black Pete. So you have these Europeans in the Netherlands that wear Afro wigs, gold hoop earrings, put on blackface, and Black Pete, Zwarte Piet, was a Moor. Okay. and they're making fun. They're really making fun of the Moors. And each year, there's been more and more protests against it because people are saying it's racist. All right, but you see him here with the red and white, and there's another one. There's a better article that I was looking at yesterday, but this article here is from December 6, 2018. Okay, and there were protests against Black Pete. Let me see something here. There was another article I was looking at, shows you a better picture. Oh yeah, this one right here. This one from the Washington Post. So this shows how all of this history is connected. Okay. That's why you have to understand, a chronology of history and understand symbolism, understand what it is that you're looking at. Center class and Joie de Piet, why Holiday has me talking to my kids about blackface. So this is from December 4th, 2018 from Washington Post. So this is this is a celebration that takes place in the Netherlands early December each year. And it commemorates, they depict Sinterklaas and Joie de Piet, Black Pete, who was a Moor, coming to the Netherlands from Spain. Okay, well, Spain is where the Moors go into Europe, 711 AD. Let's look at this here. The tradition is on the second Saturday of November, Joie de Piet, Black Pete, arrives in the Netherlands on a steamboat from Spain. Why is he coming from Spain? Well, that's where they go into Europe. Along with Sinterklaas, a towering, thin, and plushily dressed figure. Okay, so read the rest of this here. I just wanted to show you this. This is this is the red and white, the red, white, long beard. So this is where the secular figure of Santa Claus comes from Sinterklaas. Okay, the secular figure of Santa Claus is coming from Sinterklaas, and Sinterklaas is coming from the Dutch, because Sinterklaas is Dutch. All right. So all this history is tied together, deals with the celebrations, Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, all of this. Okay, it's all connected. All right, lastly, we were talking about patron saints. So just give you some background information. We're talking about patron saints. Right here. So Saint Maurice is the patron saint of Germany, and Maurice is in reference to a Moorish boy. The word Mauri, Mauri, is in reference to the Moors. Like Mauritania means land of the black-skinned people. Mauri, Mauri. When you see the word Maurice, that's in reference to the Moors. Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of Amsterdam and Russia. Saint Benedict, who was called the Moor, Saint Benedict the Moor, Palermo and San Fratello in Sicily. He was also called Il Moro, which is Italian for dark skin. He's also called the African and the Black. Must have been pretty black. Maybe he was a dark-skinned Caucasian. Maybe he wasn't black at all. Maybe he's just a dark-skinned Caucasian. So what's going to happen is that when you deal with the Neteru, the forces of nature, the different manifestations of that one supreme force, when you deal with the Neteru coming out of ancient Kemet, the spiritual systems coming out of ancient Kemet, the Neteru are going to be replaced by the saints, because when you study the Neteru, they have different attributes like love and fertility among Osset, or the Huti, writing and divine articulation of speech, things like this, Thoth. When you study the Neteru, they have different attributes. They're going to be replaced by the saints. And the Neteru are going to be said to watch over different groups of people as well. Different cities would have a Neteru that was said to watch over that city. then they're going to be replaced by the Saints. The Saints are going to do the same thing. All right, we got to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business, know your numbers, and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTea.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that sells one-of-a-kind signature statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignClothing.com. That's intuitivedesignClothing.com, and email her at info@intuitivedesignClothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance. Have you tasted the world-famous No Frowny Brownie yet from the Pink Bakery? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and free of the big 8 allergens. While eating their No Frowny brownies, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were very good. Very good. And you know, if she says that, they are. The Pink Bakery is the first black-owned, big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to thepinkbakery.com. That's thepinkbakery.com to order their No Frowny Brownie mix today. Yaya Rule is a line of African-inspired apparel catered to black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their black pride and honor their African heritage anywhere at any time. This apparel line is for anyone, whether you are working in the corporate world, are an entrepreneur, or an artist. Their selection will allow you to casually let your pride shine or dress it up as wanted. It is for those who have already embraced African fabrics and for those who are just getting introduced to them. Reclaim and experience